Hi class, it's Miss Klein. I am out here in the backyard with my chickens. I figured I would do the next section of the read aloud outside because it is such a beautiful day. So here are my 5 hens. That's where I get all my delicious eggs from. But we are on to chapter 19 of Charlotte's Web. So let me get this set up so you can see me and we can start reading. All right. Hi. Oh, got the book a little bit wet. Miss Amy would not be happy. So in the background, you might hear the sound of the chickens because they are out and about and very happy for the nice weather. All right. Hope you guys aren't being blinded by the sun. Okay, chapter 19 is called The Egg Sack, if you can see that. All right. Next morning, when the first light came into the sky, and the sparrows stirred in the trees, when the cows rattled their chains, and the rooster crowed, and the early automobiles went whispering along the road, Wilbur awoke and looked for Charlotte. He saw her up overhead in a corner near the back of his pen. She was very quiet. Her 8 legs were spread wide. She seemed to have shrunk during the night. Next to her, attached to the ceiling, Wilbur saw a curious object. It was a sort of sack or cocoon. It was peach-colored, and it looked like it was made of cotton candy. I'm going to adjust my chair. I hope you guys are doing well. Ah, there we go. It's good to see you. Today's the first day that I'm going to be doing Zoom. So I will be available from 8:30 to 12:30 every day, Monday through Friday, for you guys to Zoom with me. So go on your Aries account, or you can also look in on Facebook, our Facebook group, and you should see a link to Zoom. Made of cotton candy. Are you awake, Charlotte? He said softly. Yes, came the answer. What is that nifty little thing? Did you make it? I did indeed, replied replied Charlotte in a weak voice. Is it a plaything? Plaything? I should say not. It is my egg sack, my magnum opus. I don't know what a magnum opus is, said Wilbur. That's Latin, explained Charlotte. It means great work. This egg sack is my great work. The finest thing I have ever made. What's inside it? Asked Wilbur. Eggs? 514 of them, she replied. 514? said Wilbur. You're kidding. No, I'm not. I counted them. I started counting, so I kept on, just to keep my mind occupied. It's a perfectly beautiful egg sack, said Wilbur, feeling as happy as if he had constructed it himself. Yes, it is pretty, replied Charlotte, patting the sack with her 2 front legs. Anyway, I can guarantee that it is strong. It is made out of the toughest material I have. It is also waterproof. The eggs are inside and will be warm and dry. All right, class, I'm actually going to move inside because the wind is picking up and I don't want that to be too loud in the video. So say goodbye, chicken. Goodbye. That chicken is Gladys. She's one of my biggest ones. And my bookmark fell. Ugh. Too much going on outside. Let's head inside. So this week, the writing is going to be a little bit different for the writing response, but everything else is going to basically be the same homework-wise. So I'm going to move into my room to finish the read aloud so that we're not bothered by the wind too much. Through my house. Okay. All right, here we go. Charlotte, Wilbur said dreamily. Are you really going to have 514 children? If nothing happens, yes, she said. Of course, they won't show up until next spring. Wilbur noticed that Charlotte's voice sounded sad. What makes you so downhearted? I should think you'd be terribly happy about this. Oh, don't pay any attention to me, said Charlotte. I just don't have much pep anymore. I guess I feel sad because I won't ever see my children. What do you mean you won't see your children? Of course you will. We'll all see them. It's going to be simply wonderful next spring in the barn cellar with 514 baby spiders running around all over the place. And the geese will have a new set of goslings, and the sheep will have their new lambs. Maybe, said Charlotte quietly. However, I have a feeling I'm not going to get to see the results of last night's efforts. I don't feel good at all. I think I'm languishing, to tell you the truth. Wilbur didn't understand the word languish, and he hated to bother Charlotte by asking her to explain. But he was so worried, he had felt that he had to ask. What does languishing mean? It means I'm slowing up, feeling my age. I'm not young anymore, Wilbur. But I don't want you to worry about me. This is your big day today. Look at my web. Doesn't it show up well with the dew on it? Charlotte's web never looked more beautiful than it looked this morning. Each strand held dozens of bright drops of early morning dew. The light from the east struck it and made it all plain and clear. It was a perfect piece of designing and building. In another hour or two, a steady stream of people would pass by, admiring it and reading it and looking at Wilbur and marveling at the miracle. As Wilbur was studying the web, a pair of whiskers and a sharp face appeared. Slowly, Templeton dragged himself across the pen and threw himself down in a corner. "I'm back," he said in a husky voice. "What a night!" The rat was swollen to twice its normal size. His stomach was as big around as a jelly jar. "What a night," he repeated hoarsely. "What feasting and carousing! A real gorge. I must have eaten the remains of 30 lunches. Never have I seen such leavings, and everything so well ripened and seasoned with the passage of time and the heat of the day. Oh, it was rich, my friends, rich." "You ought to be ashamed of yourself," said Charlotte in disgust. "It would serve you right if you had an acute attack of indigestion." "Don't worry about my stomach," snarled Templeton. "It can handle anything. And by the way, I've got some bad news. As I came past that pig next door, the one who calls himself Uncle, I noticed a blue tag on the front of his pen. That means he won first prize. I guess you're licked, Wilbur. You might as well relax. No one is going to hang a medal on you. Furthermore, I wouldn't be surprised if Zuckerman changes his mind about you. Wait until he gets a hankering for some fresh pork, smoked ham, and crisp bacon. He'll take the knife to you, my boy." "Be still, Templeton," said Charlotte. "This is my cat, Eli. He wants to say hi." Hi, Eli. Say hi. Of course, he's not going to show his face. "Be still, Templeton," said Charlotte. "You're too stuffed and bloated to know what you're saying. Don't pay attention to him, Wilbur." Wilbur tried not to think about what the rat had just said. He decided to change the subject. "Templeton," said Wilbur, "if you weren't so dopey, you would have noticed that Charlotte has made an egg. She's going to become a mother. For your information, there are 514 eggs in that peachy little sack." "Is this true?" asked the rat, eyeing the sack suspiciously. "Yes, it's true," sighed Charlotte. "Congratulations," muttered Templeton. "This has been a night." He closed his eyes, pulled some straw over himself, and dropped off into a deep sleep. Wilbur and Charlotte were glad to be rid of him for a while. At 9 o'clock, Mr. Arable's truck rolled into the fairgrounds and came to a stop at Wilbur's pen. Everybody climbed out. "Look!" cried Fern. "Look at Charlotte's web! Look what it says!" The grown-ups and the children joined hands and stood there, studying the new sign. "Humble," said Mr. Zuckerman. "Now isn't that just the word for Wilbur?" Everybody rejoiced to find the miracle of the web had been repeated. Wilbur gazed up lovingly into their faces. He looked very humble and very grateful. Fern winked at Charlotte. Lurvy soon got busy. He poured a bucket of warm slops into the trough, and while Wilbur ate his breakfast, Lurvy scratched him gently with a smooth stick. "Wait a minute!" cried Avery. "Look at this!" He pointed to the blue tag on Uncle's pen. "This pig has won first prize already!" The Zuckermans and the Arables stared at the tag. Mrs. Zuckerman began to cry. Nobody said a word. They just stared at the tag. And then they stared at Uncle. And then they stared at the tag again. Lurvy took out an enormous handkerchief and blew his nose very loud. So loud, in fact, that the noise was heard by stable boys over in the horse barn. "Can I have some money?" asked Fern. "I want to go out on the midway." "You stay right where you are," said her mother, and tears came to Fern's eyes. "Well, what's everyone crying about?" asked Mr. Zuckerman. "Let's get busy. Edith, bring the buttermilk." Mrs. Zuckerman wiped her eyes with her handkerchief. She went to the truck and came back with a gallon jar of buttermilk. "Bath time," said Zuckerman cheerfully. He and Mrs. Zuckerman and Avery climbed into Wilbur's pen. Avery slowly poured buttermilk on Wilbur's head and back, and as it trickled down his sides and cheeks, Mr. and Mrs. Zuckerman rubbed it into his hair and skin. Passers-by stopped to watch. Pretty soon, quite a crowd had gathered. Wilbur grew beautifully white and smooth. The morning sun shone through his pink ears. "He isn't as big as that pig next door," remarked one bystander, "but he's cleaner, and that's what I like." "So do I," said another man. "He's humble, too," said a woman reading the sign on the web. Everybody who visited the pig pen had a good word to say about Wilbur. Everyone admired the web, and of course, nobody noticed Charlotte. Suddenly, a voice was heard on the loudspeaker. "Attention, please," it said. "Will Mr. Homer Zuckerman bring his famous pig to the judge's booth in front of the grandstand? A special award will be made there in 20 minutes. Everyone is invited to attend. Crate your pig, please, Mr. Zuckerman, and report to the judge's booth promptly." For a moment after this announcement, the Arables and the Zuckermans were unable to speak or move. Then Avery picked up a handful of straw and threw it high in the air and gave a loud yell. The straw fluttered down like confetti into Fern's hair. Mr. Zuckerman hugged Mrs. Zuckerman. Mr. Arable kissed Mrs. Arable. Avery kissed Wilbur. Lurvy shook hands with everybody. Fern hugged her mother. Avery hugged Fern. Mrs. Arable hugged Mrs. Zuckerman. Up overhead in the shadows of the ceiling, Charlotte crouched unseen, her front legs encircling her egg sack. You can see everyone happy because obviously Wilbur's getting something special, even though he didn't win first place. Her heart was not beating as strongly as usual, and she felt weary and old. But she was sure at last that she had saved Wilbur's life, and she felt peaceful and contented. "We have no time to lose," shouted Mr. Zuckerman. "Lurvy, help with the crate." "Can't I have some money?" asked Fern. "You wait," said Mrs. Arable. "Can't you see everybody is busy?" "Put that empty buttermilk jar in the truck," commanded Mr. Arable. Avery grabbed the jar and rushed to the truck. "Does my hair look all right?" asked Mrs. Zuckerman. "Looks fine," snapped Mr. Zuckerman as he and Lurvy set the crate down in front of Wilbur. You didn't even look at my hair, said Mrs. Zuckerman. You're all right, Edith, said Mrs. Arable. Just calm down. Templeton, asleep in the straw, heard the commotion and awoke. He didn't know exactly what was going on, but when he saw the men shoving Wilbur into the crate, he made his mind up to go along. He watched his chance. He watched his chance, and when no one was looking, he crept into the crate and buried himself in the straw at the bottom. All ready, boys, cried Mr. Zuckerman. Let's go. He and Mr. Arable and Lurvy and Avery grabbed the crate and boosted it up over the side of the pen and up into the truck. Fern jumped aboard and sat on top of the crate. She still had straw in her hair and looked very pretty and excited. Mr. Arable started the motor. Everyone climbed in, and off they drove to the judge's booth in front of the grandstand. As they passed the Ferris wheel, Fern gazed up at it and wished that she was in the topmost car with Henry Fussy at her side. That's the end of chapter 19. All right, class. We are on page 154, which means we only have 30 pages left. We are getting towards the end. Well, I hope you have a wonderful Monday. Make sure that you're getting your work done. Today starts a new week, and so I will be posting your progress reports every day still. Okay? If you need me, don't forget you can Zoom, and I can see you there, or you can always text me, email me, call me. Okay, see you later, class. Bye.